Hi, today is August 19th, 2025, and here are my poems for the day. The first one is poem number 1283 for the year, I Wanted You to Fuck the Inside of My Mind. I Wanted You to Fuck the Inside of My Mind is the name of a 2018 painting by Tracy Emin. But just because I Wanted You to Fuck the Inside of My Mind is the name of a painting by Tracy Emin, that doesn't mean I don't want you to fuck the inside of my mind, nor does it not mean that I don't. Whether or not I want you to fuck the inside of my mind has no bearing on whether or not I Wanted You to Fuck the Inside of My Mind is the name of a painting by Tracy Emin. I Wanted You to Fuck the Inside of My Mind is the name of a painting by Tracy Emin, whether I want you to fuck the inside of my mind or not. Poem number 1284, The Sad Unhappiness. She had a sad unhappiness that had congealed into a gel or jelly that she would spread onto thick bread and then bite into. The sad unhappiness tasted like ginger mixed with orange marmalade, and eating it made her less sad but no less unhappy. And eventually the sad would return because it missed the unhappiness. She would spread out her blanket and sit by the river, munching on her melancholia for lunch and sometimes dinner, and watching the tide recede like her sadness, but knowing that both the sadness and the tide would come back in. There was something both sad and happy about the way the sadness and the unhappy would always find each other, would always reunite, like lost lovers who couldn't resist and would finally stop fighting the inevitable. Although the sad unhappiness was sad and unhappy, it was a most delicious thing that was meant to be savored, maybe even exploited, rather than avoided. Poem number 1285, The Slightest Idea. The thought diminished until it became the slightest idea, light, lively, lithe, sliding, slipping, slithering, like ivy eating itself out of existence, but still the twinkling glimmer, the sliver of an idea continued to impress itself into the senses of those who craved subtlety and mere whispers of meaning, and so the slightest idea remained in the hearts and minds of the not very many, of the hardly any, of those with the most sensitive antennae. Poem number 1286, The Willows in the Wind. One of the willows said, "Fuck this wind in the willows shit. I don't know about the rest of you, but I am tired of being full of wind all the time. Let's get in the wind and see how the wind likes it when the willows are in the wind." The rest of the willows were not with the one willow that wanted to be in the wind. And the one willow couldn't do it alone because it's the wind in the willows, so it ought to be the willows, plural, in the wind. There was also the issue of how are the willows going to get into the wind. It's one thing to be disgruntled, and it's also one thing to have a solution, but it's quite another to have a way to implement the solution. Maybe one day there would be willows in the wind, but probably not today. And the last poem of the day, poem number 1287, 14 Bananas. She told me she had ordered 14 bananas, and I laughed, and then I said, "That's a funny amount of bananas," because it was. All right, that's it. Thank you. I appreciate you.